The sharp clang of a car door echoed through the narrow Chicago alley, the sound bouncing off wet brick walls like a warning. Detective Frank Mallory stood beside his black 1934 Ford Model B police car, a sleek machine built for speed and intimidation. Its chrome grille gleamed faintly under the flicker of a single street lamp. A thin layer of mist clung to the ground, swirling around his leather shoes and the hem of his trench coat. Before we move further into this story, I said, tell me in the comments, if you were in Frank's position, would you stand your ground or walk away? Across from him, a man in a rumpled pinstripe suit leaned against the alley wall, smoke curling from the cigarette in his hand. His smirk was deliberate, the kind of expression worn by men who thought the city belonged to them. Nice car you got there, officer, he drawled. Would be a shame if someone borrowed it. Frank's eyes narrowed. Touch it, and you'll be borrowing a hospital bed. From the shadows, two more figures emerged, both wearing worn fedoras and carrying the swagger of seasoned street enforcers. They moved slowly, their polished shoes clicking on the damp cobblestones, forming a half-circle around Frank and his car. The Ford stood silently behind him, its engine off but its presence undeniable. In 1934, this was more than a police vehicle, it was a symbol of authority, the beating heart of law enforcement on wheels. But 3 against 1? Even for Frank, that was a dangerous hand to play. The tension broke with the sudden screech of tires on wet pavement. Headlights cut through the mist as another Ford police car roared into the alley, its horn blaring once before coming to a sharp stop. The second car's polished fenders and gleaming chrome reflected the pale glow of the street lamp. 2 uniformed officers stepped out, each carrying a 12-gauge shotgun. The barrels caught the light like silver blades. The gangsters' smirks dissolved instantly, their cigarette smoke dissipating into the night air. Looks like the odds just changed, Frank said evenly. One of the officers, Officer Harris, a man built like a freight train, stepped forward. His voice was low but heavy with authority. You boys think you can hassle one of our own? In his own alley? The tallest gangster, jaw twitching, tried to speak. But the subtle shift of the shotgun's muzzle toward his chest cut his sentence short. Frank took his time walking to his Ford, his leather gloves creaking as he opened the driver's side door. Reaching inside, he pulled out a thick brown envelope, its edges worn. With a flick of his wrist, he tossed it to Harris. That's why they're here, Frank said. Photographs, ledgers, names, everything we need to bury their boss for the next 20 years. The gangsters exchanged quick, uneasy glances. Their game wasn't intimidation anymore, it was survival. The Ford's engine purred to life, low and steady, ready to chase them if they ran. But Frank didn't need to move. They were already cornered. The alley emptied fast. 2 officers escorted the gangsters to the back seat of the second police car. The sound of the heavy door slamming shut echoed like a final verdict. Frank remained by his Ford, watching his fellow officers pull away with their prisoners. The night air was cool, carrying the faint hum of distant jazz from a speakeasy down the block. He slid behind the wheel of his own car, the worn leather seat molding to his frame. For a moment, he rested his gloved hands on the steering wheel, feeling the vibrations of the idling engine. This machine had been through chases, shootouts, and stakeouts. It was more than metal and bolts, it was his partner. The street lamp above flickered, throwing shifting shadows across the car's hood ornament. As Frank eased forward, the Ford's tires hissed over the damp cobblestones, each turn of the wheels taking him deeper into the city's dark heart. Chicago's skyline rose ahead, jagged, glowing, alive. Somewhere in those streets, another deal was going down, another back alley hiding another crime. But tonight, one more piece of the puzzle was locked away. Frank knew the city would never be clean. But as long as his Ford was out there, patrolling the night, Chicago still had a fighting chance.